Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name's Scott. It's great to be back, and I'm going to continue with food idioms. Hopefully you watched the first half, and this is my second half for food idioms. We have many. These are 22 in total, and this is going to be the second half, so I have 11 more food idioms. Let's start off, everybody, with fish, and the idiom is bigger fish to fry. Fry in a frying pan. F-R-Y, right? Pick up that difference, not F-L-Y, like fly in the sky. So bigger fish to fry, which means more important things to do. So let me give you a sentence here as well to help you with your understanding. So I have bigger fish to fry than to spend time doing this trivial work. Trivial work meaning it's not important and kind of meaningless kind of work. So I have bigger fish to fry, more important things to do. That's the first one. And food idioms, and I have an idiom with food. And the idiom is food for thought. Food for thought. What that means is something to think about. Food for thought. Kind of feeding your brain with something to think about. So food for thought. Let me give you an example here. So you're studying English. You're doing very well with your English. But how about studying another language like French, for example? Just food for thought. Okay? Food for thought, the idea is something to think about, contemplate. Maybe it's a good idea. Food for thought. And speaking of things for your brain like food for thought, use your noodle is my next idiom. Use your noodle. Noodle means head in this instance. So if you say to somebody to use your noodle means use your head, think. So give you an example here of how it would work. Sometimes it could be a little bit in the sense of negative in a way of speaking strongly to somebody about something. So use your noodle. You can't do both of these at the same time. Do this one first and that one second. So use your noodle. Think. Use your head. Use your noodle. Use your head. Think about it. Next up is going to be in a nutshell. Now, what does that mean? It's just a nutshell by itself. Where you have a nut, and sometimes like peanuts is in a shell. That's a nutshell. It's small, right? So in a nutshell means to keep something concise and summarize it. So in a nutshell, keep it short. I'll give you an example here in a sentence. So in a nutshell, that's the best price that we can offer. I'm doing a little bit of business talk here. So in a nutshell, so short, concise, in a nutshell, summarizing it, that's the best price we can offer. So in a nutshell means to keep it short. A good expression to use. Don't want to give all the different details and just to keep it short and the important points in a nutshell. Next up is going to be in a, but not in a nutshell, but in a pickle. In a pickle. Now, what does that mean? Well, basically pickle means to be in trouble. So if you're in a pickle, you have a dilemma, a conundrum, problem. So let me give you an example here. So he's really in a pickle. He scheduled 2 appointments at the same time. One's in Tachikawa and one's in Chiba. They're far apart. That's a pickle. He has a dilemma. So to be in a pickle is to be in a situation, a problematic situation. And next up is going to be with potatoes. And I have 2 of these. The first is a couch potato. That's gotten really popular over the last 30, 40 years or so. Maybe not 40 years, but at least 20, 25, 30 years. So to be a couch potato is to be somebody who just sits on the sofa in front of the TV, maybe eating a bag of potato chips. Not really doing anything but just changing the channels. So to be a couch potato is to pretty much to be lazy, sitting in front of the television, maybe lying down on the sofa, and just eating potato chips and watching whatever's on the TV. So in a sentence here, so he works hard 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, but often on the weekends, he's a real couch potato. Doesn't want to do anything. Just sit in the sofa and watch TV. Couch potato. And I have one more for potato, but this one's a hot potato. A little bit different than a couch potato. So a hot potato is a sensitive or a delicate or a touchy topic. So sometimes a hot potato is something difficult to talk about or discuss with people, especially strangers. So an example here, so the recent political situation is a real hot potato. It's something that people really don't want to talk about because it is kind of sensitive. That's a hot potato, delicate or sensitive topic or subject. And next up is going to be salt, something so very small. And a grain of salt. Grain means just one little tiny microscopic piece of salt. No, not microscopic, but very small. So, but doesn't have anything to do with salt. A grain of salt is to take something with a grain of salt. So take something with a grain of salt is don't believe everything you hear about this, because there is doubt or suspicion in what somebody says. Let me give you an example. So talking with him, always take it with a grain of salt, because we never know if he's telling the truth or not. So sometimes with a grain of salt, the idea there is that it's not completely believable. There may be some misinformation in there as well. So with a grain of salt, don't believe everything you hear. Next up is going to be a nice expression I like. It's called the greatest thing since sliced bread. Now you have a loaf of bread. Here's a slice. There's a loaf. Now, the greatest thing since sliced bread. Now, in many countries, America included, we love sandwiches. So we love bread. So the greatest thing since sliced bread is an expression that this is the best thing ever. So sometimes it can be used in a little bit of a way of somebody feels that they're a great or wonderful person. So an example here is he thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. That's how big his ego is. Pronunciation here in English, American English anyways, it's ego. Japanese is ego. But this is an E, so ego. I mean, the spelling's on an E, but also the pronunciation is an E, like read, same E pronunciation. So he thinks he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. He has a very inflated ego. And next up is soup up. Next up is soup up. And to soup something up is to make it look fancy and maybe more beautiful than it originally was supposed to be. Especially with a car. So if you soup up your car, you put a lot of different kinds of things on it to make it look very flashy and shiny. And so that's the soup up. Or the engine, to make the engine sound louder or maybe go faster. That's the soup up. Often done with some kind of object like a car or a motorcycle. But you can also soup up a bicycle. And my last one is going to be my cup of tea or not my cup of tea. And this is something that you like or like to do or you're in favor of. So my cup of tea. And if you don't necessarily like it and you don't want to do it, it's not my cup of tea. So for example, I'll give you an example here. So skiing is his cup of tea. It's something he enjoys doing and does it quite often. And snowboarding is not his cup of tea. He prefers skiing. So not his cup of tea, meaning that he's not interested in it and doesn't actively participate. So cup of tea, what's something you like and like to do. Not your cup of tea, something that you're not interested in and maybe not necessarily like. Okay, everybody? That's 11 more of the food idioms here. I hope you enjoyed them. If you have any questions or comments on these idioms or anything else at all, by all means, do not hesitate to contact us. We'll get back to you. And until then, everybody, keep up the great work. And if you subscribe, we appreciate it. We're back here again soon. Thanks for watching and have a great day.